Hello, once again. My name is Dr. Paul Jackson, and I'm sitting here on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2015, in the offices, the studio of Multimedia Resource Training Institute. And I've had just an incredible year. And so we're closing out 2015. We have a lot of projects that will be continuing into 16, but also expanding in some new things that are happening in 2016. So closing out from 2015, there have been some panel discussions that MMRTI has been sponsoring. There have been two at this point. The first one was crime. The second one was with housing. And on January 12th, the Wednesday at 5:30 at the 2100 building, we're going to have a discussion about jobs. And Sawant, who is the candidate that won for the city council, is going to be there. And we're going to talk about jobs. And speaking of jobs, I want to congratulate the studio MMRTI for having the mayor guarantee or say that he's going to be able to sponsor year-round after-school projects for students. And in addition to that, there was a program from the art culture that's going to team up with Langston Hughes and a lot of other smaller minority kind of art and graphic entities to be able to keep the central area and the history of the central area, the central district, on the books. And so because of gentrification, a lot of the history is trying to be removed and trying to be forgotten. But thanks to the city of Seattle, they're going to at least sponsor or help us keep those stories going. Anyway, and you need to come to January on Wednesday at the 2100 building to the talk about the panel discussion about jobs that's being sponsored by or supported by the city of Seattle. We'll have some actual city council members there to talk about internships for not only minorities and the youth, but the youth and general public, because everybody needs a job, right? And to summarize some of the panel discussions that we had in 2015, the first one was about crime and criminal justice, and we had somebody from ACLU there. We had an officer from the Seattle Police Department come, even though he was unofficial. He couldn't do, obviously he couldn't speak for the unit, the whole entire police force. But it was a good turnout, and we talked about some of the crime that's been happening. Unfortunately, there's still deaths that are happening. Most recently that I know about, it's a poor young girl who got killed over her Jordan sneakers, Air Jordan sneakers. And so, and she was like 13 years old. And it turned out to be a family member that did that, which is really kind of tragic. The second one we did was about Seattle housing. And we had the director of the Housing Authority come and be a part of the discussion. And we had people from the general audience that was able to give answers or give questions that were answered. So we had a lot of people, including the Seattle housing director. We also had the Capitol Hill housing director that was there, and a number of other people in the East African community that are leaders and were there to answer questions, and the general audience to ask questions. And so that one was pretty cool. So the next one coming up, the next panel discussion about jobs will be very interesting because we have Sawant, who just got re-elected, and she's one of the people that behind the $15 an hour minimum wage. And she'll be there. She will be there to have part of the discussion about jobs because, Seattle in the gentrification it's getting more and more expensive to live in Seattle. It's turning into a little Silicon Valley because we have a lot of industries that are here and startups and such. But a lot of people are moving to Seattle. Anyway, I'm Paul Jackson, Dr. Paul Jackson, Multimedia Resource Training Institute. Make sure you come Wednesday, 2100 building, panel discussion about jobs in Seattle.